Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Coral Living. James here with his trusty brother Justin, and checking yourself out in the camera.
Yeah.
Tonight I thought we would talk about perspective. And perspective, the type that we're going to be talking about is the one that it's when it's how you interpret reality, using your senses and your experiences. And there seems to be a large diversity in perspective because we all sense what's going on differently. Maybe that seems to be one of the problems why there seems to be so much conflict in our lives, is because everyone's seeing everything through their own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to also kind of make a good argument for relative truth. You think?
What makes a good argument for relative
The fact that because we're all experiencing it differently, what's true for another person might not be necessarily true for another.
Yep, you hear people say that, right? Like, I'm speaking my truth.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast today. Joe Rogan had some guy on, and he was kind of making fun of the idea that, people would have this idea of relative truth, and that everything's got to come back down to some absolute.
Joe Rogan was saying that?
It wasn't Joe Rogan; it was his guest.
Sorry, that was mean.
Joe Rogan.
I shouldn't say anything.
I can't even remember the guest. I didn't listen to the full thing. I listened to a good portion of it. It was kind of combating some of the views that we got going on in society now with all the transgenderism and the all the wokeness going on, and saying that he was kind of saying that like a lot of it's okay, transgenderism is okay, but at the end of the day we got to come back down to something that we can sit on and work out of. And I think he was making a good point, but at the same time, I'm thinking, well, give anything enough time, maybe it would be able to be proven wrong in the sensory finite realm that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I spent a little bit of this week, just boning up on the idea of perspective or perception, and I don't know if I left with a solid viewpoint on it. To me, it kind of made me feel more confused, if anything, because, again, it's so hard to find others who believe exactly the same thing you do. You can find people who have similar belief systems and things like that and view reality a certain way, and they usually collectivize and get together. But as a whole, man, like if you really get down to it and you probe deep enough, you'll find that everyone seems to just believe, different things. They have a different perspective on how they see reality.
Mm-hmm. But one thing people do is they try to jam their perspective down your throat.
Oh, that's definitely.
I mean, isn't that part of what a society or culture is conformity?
Yeah. There's
So depending on, but I mean, who decides what the standard is? If you were born some sort of mutant, if you were born some kind of thing that doesn't fit so well into culture because, Mother Nature has been so gracious as to bestow you with some unique attributes and you don't fit into the collective so well, what do you do then?
Yeah, no, it's going to be very difficult.
Because you've got a bunch of people with perspective, strong perspective. Oftentimes, those people do very well at that. And so they don't want to see change. They don't want to see some kind of alteration of the way things are because that would infringe on something they've worked really hard to get good at.
That's true. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah, threatening anyone's lifestyle. This is some of the problems that we run into with even science, right? Believe it or not, science has an ego. Spirituality has an ego.
Oh, yeah.
The religions have egos, and they can go around touting that they're all about truth, and that's number one. But really, if you get down to it, usually there's dollars and cents going on in the background. There's all that survival nature going on in the background, and also a belief system like. Now, this is another thing that we're getting into, is that beliefs and values play a giant role in perspective. Mm-hmm. They're going to totally influence the way you see something. Spiral dynamic stage purple. If you live in the jungle or something like that, and you see an eclipse, for you that might be a spiritual sign from the gods. Mm-hmm. As for someone else...
but here's the thing about perspective. Even if you know scientifically what that is, you can still choose to return to some kind of opinion about it. You can. You're free in this country to do that.
Yeah.
You could decide to yourself, that is a sign. That is a sign.
Yeah.
And if that works for you, if you like it, then why the hell not? I mean... It's taken me a long time in my life, growing up, to get to a position where I'm pretty content with my life. I've built a life that allows me to do the kind of art I want to do, which doesn't always, sometimes could maybe be offensive to people, but I don't have a big, what I'm trying to say is this. Deciding to have a perspective of gratitude for your situation, tweaking your situation to the best possible scenario that works for you, but also deciding to see the positives of whatever situation you're in can be if you want to enjoy life, can be a good thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to enjoy life and you want to be stressed out by the standards the world puts on you, don't do that. Some people take that decision. They're like, I don't care about enjoying life. I care about being ideologically possessed. Choose to be,
Well, isn't there a lot to be said about some of the stuff you mentioned, like the personal development community,
which, by the way, keep an eye out for the next It's Tom Starfield. That's coming soon.
Wow! Oh, excited! I'm excited.
And it's going to be
see that
offensive.
Oh God! But
I get to do what I want. Anyway, go on.
Back to what you were saying. In the personal development, spiritual growth community and stuff like that, a lot of it is about trying to change your perspective, change your reality, change the way you see. Like if you just are positive and can somehow manipulate your brain to see things with rainbows and butterflies, your life's just going to be better. Now, maybe there's some truth to that, but it seems to be something that only can be accessible to the affluent. If you're sitting in a cozy position right now, especially in the world that we're living in, which I'd like to get into, but if you're sitting in a comfy spot in your life, just trying to trick yourself into oh no, it's good, even though
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Life's gonna be hard either way. It is. It's just going to have challenges and things.
It's harder for some than others.
Right, but either way, it's going to be challenging and difficult. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have superstars offing themselves. Either way, it's going to be a challenge and a struggle. I got to refer to my man, Aleister Crowley here, the great beast, the wickedest man to ever walk the earth. He said something that you'll see sometimes on rappers' medallions. It's been used by a lot of different, very individualistic type people, and that is, do what thou wilt. Do what you want. Do what you want, because the chances of you being successful by the world's standards, which is famous and rich, it's not good. Give it up. I can say right now, listen to me, I'll be the first motivational guy to say this to you, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for you. So don't try to do that. So in the meantime, do what you want. Do what makes your life happy. And sometimes the world will be chase these things, have some hero worship, idolize these people. That's what the world will tell you to do. And then as a consolation prize, it's well, if you can't do that, just be some asshole, manager of somewhere. And at least you'll still get to tell people what to do. F all that, In fact, your homework assignment is quit your job. don't live by those standards. Do what you want. And, you know, it's like, I can hear somebody being like, well, you know, first of all, what if everybody did that? Second of all, that's reckless. That's not how things work. Your life, you get one, as far as we know, and you're decaying as we speak. It goes by fast. There's no time not to do what you want to do. Don't you want to enjoy your life? Don't you want to find the others? Don't you want to find the like-minded people instead of trying to jam yourself like a circle into a square peg?
Well, that was just the next point I wanted to jump in, just to add to what you were saying. Is I heard a quote. I totally forget the quote, but it was along the lines of that. The more you get needing other people to line up with your perspective, the better your life's going to be. Stop needing your perspective to line up with the way the world needs it to fall into place. So I think that just kind of spins off of what you were trying to say there. But with all this perspective talk and the world, let's talk a little bit about the world, because right now there's so much shit going on. Everyone's going to have their own little perspective on it, you know, depending on where they come from. In your world, like, I don't know how much you follow current events, world events, what's going on. How do you see things right now? What's your perspective on, you know, what's going on in Justin Sampson's reality?
The same crap that's always gone on. Humans up to their same old selfish ways. You know, that's just how we are. What is going on in the world is typical. You know, people talk about unprecedented times and all this stuff. It's like, it's always unprecedented times. Always. Yeah. War is nothing new. Disease is nothing new. Corrupt people getting away with moida ain't nothing new. It's all, you know, it's all how it's always been. Yeah. You know, and no one's even talking about why you would be moral to begin with. People use a very shallow, very superficial veneer of what morality is, and their good deeds are dirty rags. They're dirty, selfish rags. You know, because the truth is, you do not get rewarded for the good deeds you do that nobody sees. You don't. Sorry, sucker. The reason you want to be moral, there needs to be like a scientific breakdown as to the detriment of doing wicked things. Like, there's tangible things. It's not some karmic thing that's going to magically come back to get you. Your evil deeds come back to get you because of psychological principles and psychological reasons. That needs to be talked about more. You want to help other people, not to get on some cover of something, although, like, whatever, do what you want. But there are deeper reasons why you want to make good decisions. Everything that's going on with the world is just the same perpetual crap. Everything that is going on wrong with the world, like when it comes to political corruption and wars and all this stuff, is repercussions of this type of thing being deeply ingrained in humanity since the beginning, since the get-go. Yeah. It's never going to stop, you know? That you don't think there are people, like, indoctrinating and raising their kids to have, like, superiority complexes and all this thing. There's people that, you know, they might not be aware that they're doing it, but I don't even think that. I think they're well aware of it, like, you know, like installing their kids traumatic, you know, expectations, like, you know, making sure they're the same assholes to take their position after they're gone, you know? And I mean assholes. Like, the world's full of them. But with the beauty of technology, you know, a little sneaky side trick you can do, you can usurp that power. And, you know, we've got kind of a community here. You know, we got our followers on this thing. I'm talking to our followers. I think about them. I know some of them. And this, everything I'm saying and we're saying, I treat it as like, you know, hopefully it's helpful to them. Like, I'm not kidding. Quit your job. You know, don't be a Willie Lomez. Don't walk in a defeated, depressive life, man. If there's too little time to not do exactly what you want with your life. And be bold and be courageous. Next thing you know, you're alive. You know, you're actually enjoying your life.
Yeah.
This was actually a rough week, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with, you know, how that has resulted in me being able to, like, slowly but surely stepping away from the world. And it's crazy, you know, you don't need those superficial relationships. There's deeper relationships to have. There's, like, deeper connections with people, more joy in doing something more authentic. You know, but if you approach it with a like this better work, you're screwed from the get-go. You know, if you're looking at it through the lens of a lot of the things that the corrupt world, that it's too late. It's too late for them. They're corrupted. If you try to look at life through their eyes, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be miserable. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Well, there's also the added adage of, or whatever the hell I'm trying to say here, is that the way that we see the world is kind of a reflection of what's going on within us. And I know we brought that up before, coming back to it, but that's about perspective. What we're seeing, what we are interpreting, is something going on inside of us too, which is pretty crazy.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like I constantly hear this, right? This is like something they talk about a lot in, you know, New Age and spirituality and yoga and all that jazz. That we're actually manifesting this garbage through maybe it's the attention we give it. Like, why are we so caught up and worried about it? Maybe because, where it used to just cost me $50 to fill up my gas tank, now it's costing me $150 in a week.
Right.
Like little things like that are like, it's too, you can't not notice that. You want to not notice it, you want to put it away, but all the stuff that happens, you notice it.
Well, here's kind of the bottom line of that. You really can't be walking around judging people. You know, I hope that you don't look at people that lie. If you're a liar, I hope that you don't look at other liars and get in a tizzy about it. It's like, hey, you do the same thing, and it's like, yeah, but I'm me. I get to lose that. You know, Start, for God's sake, being the good you want to see in the world. You know, if you're like a underhanded, sneaky son of a gun, and then you see that out in the world, or you're deceptive, or you're biased to all your own stuff and not open to other people's stuff, like, you can't get upset when you see that reflected out in the world. Right? Isn't that like, makes sense?
I think that right now, to me, you want to talk about perspective and how people see things. What I witness in people that I know, and what I see is, I'm starting to see a lot of hopelessness. People feel trapped by this system. Mm-hmm. This current system that we are
trapped by it.
Seems to be, things seem to have escalated. Everyone thought that after COVID there would be like some type of like a rebuilding and things coming back to normal, but that's not what's happened. Now everything's falling. Now it seems like everything's falling apart.
Well, did you hear what Jordan Peterson had to say? His little thing on it? He was like, when a shipping boat sees an iceberg, it's too late. When it sees an iceberg, it's too late. Meaning, we can't see how broken everything is from the lockdowns yet. Now, I don't want to speak that crazy doom into the universe. I hope that he's wrong. I mean, he even left some wiggle room for being wrong. But the point he was trying to make is like, the repercussions from some of these things are not yet fully seen. We haven't, in fact, I think his words was, we haven't even seen at all the repercussions of the lockdown.
I think we might just be getting started. There's a ripple effect. And
not to scare everybody. Don't be scared. That's not going to be useful to you.
Yeah, and what I try to come home to on some of this stuff is that regardless of where things go, say we lost it all and we had to go back to like a primitive state, we have each other, and there's no need to I know a lot of people that are scared, they feel hopeless. A lot of it is about losing their image of being like, oh, I got, my kick-ass, car in my house and I lost it all. A lot of people are afraid of losing that image. Like, oh no, now what am I? It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay that you're still a human. Yeah. There's love for all those people out there. Yeah. And because a lot of people are scared of that happening. Mm-hmm. I just want to throw that. I saw Jordan Peterson, and was that the same one where he interviewed Pierre Poilievre?
I don't know.
Yeah, he had Pierre Poilievre on this, which was pretty cool. And they were talking about, I guess, kind of a Canadian perspective. We're from Canada, guys, so sorry. Hey, man. It seems like, we've got some hard times ahead of us. Maybe it'll come, maybe it'll change fast. Who knows? That's what I hope. And I think it's helpful that we talk and communicate about this stuff. Yeah. The way that we see the world, and then we don't hide it and pretend like it's not happening. That's another thing. There's another added thing, if you want to take this into kind of like a spiritually aspect of it. I was looking at like ESP. These are like extra like sensory perceptions and stuff like that. A way you could, this is kind of, we're getting into the fun aspect here of like alternate ways you could experience reality, maybe through dreams or telekinesis. Is that what it's called?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about any of that stuff?
Do I think telekinesis is real? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, just what do you think about
Well, I would say you will never experience it if you're not open to it being real. I was just talking about this today with some people about the fact, like I was telling them about my Reiki story. We know somebody that does Reiki, but they're also a medium. And in the session I had, they were contacting some dead relatives of mine, right? And I was just saying, like, I don't necessarily believe that, but I was open to it. And the person I was with, you know, I think is maybe a little more skeptical by nature, and you know, they didn't have such a significant experience as I did, because the person that was doing the Reiki was pretty spot on with their what they were channeling as this relative. Yeah. And then somebody chimed in, and they were saying, a medium saved my kid's life. Like, a medium told them some crazy stuff that there's no way they could have known. Some, like, hidden token or something that was in their change box at home. They were like, you didn't lose it, it's in there, or something. And they went home and found it. Whatever. The point is, you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. So, what do you have to lose to entertain some of these things? We live in an affluent culture. It doesn't matter if you know, how little you have. You know, don't be blinded by, you know, things, and open your mind up a little bit. And if you feel like it, without going crazy, you can entertain some of these supernatural things. Yeah. And you just might be surprised at what is revealed to you. And if you aren't, who cares? You know, like, what else do you got to do with your time? Yeah. Reality can be quite mundane at times. So why not entertain something fantastical? You know, but hold it loosely. You know, don't be so attached to it. It doesn't have to be real. You know, it doesn't have to. Yeah. But if you're open to it, some neat stuff can happen.
Have you ever, what about like dreams? Have you ever had any dreams that kind of like, I had when I was in high school, I had a crazy dream once where I was like, it was the nuttiest dream ever. I was just like sitting down, talking with this girl that went to my high school, that I vaguely just remember seeing this girl and passing in the hallways. I was not friends with her, not in my social group, not my grade, not anything. And I was just talking to her in my dreams, just a plain old dream. And then I woke up and that was it. I went to school that day, did what I did every day, came in the morning, sat down at in the cafeteria, and this girl walked in the room and sat down right beside me. I was like, oh my God! Like, it was like crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that was all about, but you gotta think, like, is there something there? Like, is that
now here's the thing. I don't want to step on our scientifically minded people out there listening, because some people's natural proclivity might be like, how do I quantify that? Like, how do I explain that? I actually would say go nuts. If you want to be like, well, that could have to do with kind of the way your subconscious collects data, and it may have seen this coming prior to you seeing it coming. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing what the subconscious can, you know, what it can do that your conscious mind can't do. It is pretty remarkable, and there's some writing on that. Dr. Dean Radin does, his whole field is, he's a scientist that studies paranormal events and just things. And he's written some books, and some of it's pretty fascinating. It's a little dry. He like takes all the supernatural things, puts them into numbers and data, and then regurgitates it in a very dry way. But the point is that he actually observes those things, the things that most scientists wouldn't waste their time on, because they're the exception, not the rule. You know, they're not easily repeatable and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but he's done, like, he comes pretty damn close to making them like legit and repeatable. Like, and he does stuff like, does prayer work, you know, where he'll do studies where, you know, people, he'll measure the effects of people actively praying.
Well,
and
in all
stuff like
those, a
that.
lot of those spiritual practices, I thought like the data was pretty conclusive that people that like usually have something that they like go to,
Right.
usually are happier people. Like they have some type of meaning
Sure.
or something that they.
Yeah, it's
they're
part of
like-
AA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you gotta acknowledge a higher power or whatever, right?
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Right, but we gotta bring it back to perception too.
Well, the whole point, this was kind of like a fun realm or a fun, area to explore because, like, if, understanding reality through your senses, and we haven't even tapped into all our senses yet, maybe there is a special sixth sense out there that we could grab onto, that might really help us understand reality more. Who knows? Maybe there's an infinite amount of senses to be held.
A real simple thing that you could do if you feel like exploring spirituality at all, in my opinion, is taking a moment to acknowledge and realize that it's already weird and mystical. The fact that you do dream, and it seems real sometimes for those of us that dream. Not even everybody dreams all that consistently. But for somebody that dreams, it's like you take for granted, like, I was totally enthralled in that dream. It was as if that was reality, only for me to wake up and realize that this is reality.
Yeah.
And there's drugs that can, people have done where they're like, I was gone for 6 months. I had a whole nother life.
Yeah.
There's even something I think in one of the, I think it might be a Hindu text, like a story of one of the deities they were like arguing with the god, and the god tossed them into a pool, and when they were underwater they dreamt a whole life where they were a princess and everything like that, all the way to their like dying end of their life.
Yeah.
Or no, their spouse died or something in the dream. Anyway, when the god pulled them out of the water, they were like weeping, and the god was like, what are you weeping about? Like, correct me if anybody knows what the hell story I'm talking about, and they know, and I've butchered it, but they were like, what are you crying about? And I think it was to illustrate, like, you can be swept away in alternate realities, pretty much.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a tiny facet of what I'm trying to say is things are already weird and mystical. It's already crazy, some of the things that happen. Why not be open to, without having to, like, explain exactly why, it is the way it is. Why not be open to things? You could invent your own practices. You know what I mean? Like you could be swept away for fun, almost like a childlike thing, with all kinds of different flights of fancy.
But maybe some people, man, there are just some people out there. They want to science everything to death. They want to
and they read some verse, they read a verse that says, when I was a child, I did childish things, and then when I was a man, I put childish things away. It's like, yeah, okay, but you also believe a guy moonwalked across a lake, and that, there's angels and unicorns.
Yeah.
So what the hell are we doing here? Let's not split hairs. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to pursue those type of things, and since we're talking about perspective here, choose a perspective of gratitude. It will, look around at what is available to you. Get the determined thing out of your head every once in a while, and look around and be grateful for what you do have. And if you're a human being, you probably got some preferences and interests. Indulge yourself in what you're into and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's like a pretty good perspective to have, I would imagine.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's a good way to kind of, tackle reality. There are many ways. Obviously you don't have to listen to exactly what we say. Test things out. Try it out. See what works for you. I just thought you brought it up, this topic to me earlier, and I thought it was good, and I think it really speaks into what's kind of going on today. There's a lot of people who are really caught up with, they're so anxious about the way that they're seeing things unfold.
People don't watch what they're saying enough. The Bible does say the power of life and death is in the tongue, right? It's like, your book says that. How about you pay attention to the power of what you say? I've been toying with this notion lately, that things are as you say they are, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter really what you think the truth is if I say Jesus is my homeboy. He's my brother. In fact, he complains to me about the Father all the time. Like, we have a good laugh about it, So what are you doing, Because there are people walking around stating such things.
Yeah.
Like, they've got some personal relationship with something nobody else can see, and they make up a huge portion of the populace. And not just, that's one religion. There's there's tons of religions, with all kinds of kooky things. But who cares? Don't judge. Let them do their thing. People get a little bit upset when their perspective meets head-to-head with somebody else's, and then rights get infringed and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So you do have to be cunning, and you do have to be kind of careful. You don't want to hurt anybody, necessarily, and you don't want to be hurt by being too, naive, and then coming head-to-head with a world that'll just tamp out your dreams.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were gonna say something. I cut you off.
No. I was trying to this subject was good because a lot of people are anxious. Maybe a change in perspective. Maybe let go of the 2.5 years of insanity that's been going on. And I'm preaching to myself here.
Yeah.
It's probably time to let go of some of this stuff, move on, and put my hands towards something that can, make the world a better place. That's what I kind of like. I like this show because it helps me, express myself. I hope it's probably the same for you. And
in real life, I don't talk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm the same pretty much, aren't I?
Oh yeah. But this is just another good outlet, another good tool. Let us know what you guys think. Write in the comments. Let us know. Anything else you want to add? Or
just keep an eye out for that next It's Tom Starfield.
Oh yeah, It's Tom Starfield's coming up.
Gonna want to get in on early. It might be taken down. So you're gonna want to see that.
Watch it, copy it, send it to your friends.
Might have to put it on some obscure platform if it gets booted off of YouTube.
All right, guys. So hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, share with a friend. The notification bell lets you know whenever we release another episode, and all of our stuff is down in the description. So everybody, until next time, stay spiritual!